Right? Gotta start my day somehow. Bismillah.
Hard work.
Alright, let's start this. Thank God it's Friday. Thank God indeed. My name's Muhammad.
My name's Bakr.
My
Abu
name's-
Bakr. Sorry.
My name is Ahmed.
As you guys can see, the podcast is looking a little different today. We have a beanie on his head. Also, we have a new
Too
guest.
fancy.
Yeah, we have a guest by the name of Ahmed. He's a man of honor, a man of knowledge. MashaAllah, we known each other for a few years now, and we did Mr. Bayridge. Yeah, we call everybody that honestly, so it's not special. Don't feel special. He doesn't even live in Bayridge.
Like heights.
So yeah, we did many stuff together. Me and him. SubhanAllah, whether it be SubhanAllah running the youth program and just hanging out, running events, doing all sorts kinds of stuff, and then mashallah our bond grew through that. And through with Abrar and Uzair, we definitely can't forget them, and Khalil and stuff like that. How are you doing today, Ahmed?
Alhamdulillah, great to be on. Great to be with Bakr. Not you. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, definitely looking forward to it.
Yeah, today's an important topic. On the Islam stocks. So Baker actually got rich off GameStop. No, I'm joking.
Nah, unfortunately.
Unfortunately not. It was called Dojo Coin or
Dogecoin.
Dogecoin. Okay, I didn't pass the citizenship test.
That's fine.
Today's an important topic. It's we're gonna be talking about not only the concept of family of we're talking about the cherishment of family, of why family is important. Family is something that everybody's born with. Everybody has, you eventually
Something you're stuck with.
Yeah, it's true. What is that quote that everybody says? You could choose your friends. Yeah, you could choose your friends, but you can't choose your family. I don't know if you guys ever heard that before. But yeah, family is I would say it's very important because at the end of the day, you always come back to your house. You know what I mean? You could come work a 12-hour shift. You could go to school. Your final destination is always home. You see your family, you see your siblings, you see your parents. And alhamdulillah, I'm blessed to have an amazing family, a family that they really nourished me, and I am the man today because of course, my mom and dad. So I would say that's one of the main reasons why family is important. It's people you always interact with, you know what I mean? So
Yeah. Families in America. I want to talk about that because we're in America.
Mm-hmm.
It's really interesting because the society, our government, wants to divide families actually, because why do they want that? Because they make more money like that. So that's why they encourage children to leave the house as soon as possible. From 18, move out, go to college, so on and so forth.
Mm-hmm.
So guess what? They have to pay their own bills, taxes and everything.
Okay.
Exactly.
Honestly, it's actually very ingrained in like American society. Wouldn't you say, Ahmed? Like how people grew up just wanting to get away from their family. I can't wait to move out. You know how they always say that?
I think it's an interesting observation on my end.
Mm-hmm.
Noticing like how, let's say we have family back at home as well, like in like third world countries and
Yeah,
stuff like that. And just an observation from my end, it's like you notice that these families are actually much closer than us. And I've always had that question as to why that is. And
SubhanAllah.
one thing that comes to mind for me is like, if we think about it, we have so many distractions here, right? I call it like, especially in the city, for example, right? It's called the concrete jungle, right?
Yes.
Every day people are in the rush, subway. And I think about it in this society, it's like a me first kind of thing. It's like
100%.
We have so much is like focused on like individualism and things like that. And so it's always comes back to yourself and what pleases you first, and then your family comes after that.
Well, that's a good point.
As opposed to, let's say, in a rural setting, or like in a farm, where it's like you don't
People,
have
they serve their family, they serve their parents. There's no phones at the dinner table and stuff. Yeah.
And like the most
Everyone knows
important, and
each
the
other.
most important thing is that there's not that many distractions as well. It's like there's really not many things to do, so you end up spending more time with family besides like going to work and stuff like that. But
I would agree 100%. It's like it's the sad part that like it's kind of like it's parents that kind of do it to themselves, because at times like you see an 8th grader with the latest iPhone X, or I don't know what the latest one is, or you see even a person my age, what is it called? He already has a mentality that he wants to leave his family. He already wants to move alone, live alone. And I think it would come from distraction. Like in the first place, they never really had that bond. Like just like let's say a husband and wife, right? Let's say they're in the same room together, but they're both using their phone. Are they really interacting with each other? No, they just happen to be in the same room together. That's what happens when like what is it called? Like if I ever had a kid and we're at the dinner table, it's time to eat. It's time to eat. You grow that bond. How was your day? But not, that doesn't really happen. Everybody just eats in their own room. There's Wi-Fi now. Dad's eating in the kitchen. Mom's eating in front of the TV. This person's over here. So you kind of it's kind of sad. But you grow up not even knowing who your family is really. Does that make sense? Like you grow up not having any any strong bonds. You know, with your family.
Yeah,
connections.
I mean, listen, it's like I think about like the coronavirus, for example, right? How it's been here for almost about a year, basically.
Yeah.
And so if you start to realize the impact it's had on family relationships, right? I could definitely speak from experience, but Becca, like, is anything like perhaps something that coronavirus perhaps has impacted?
Yeah, absolutely. I can't stand my siblings now because I'm stuck with them all day.
Yeah, well,
I noticed that.
No,
Exactly.
I know that feeling too.
But yeah, that is true. We do spend more time with our families because of COVID and whatnot, and quarantine,
which is a positive, I would say. Even though the statistics, unfortunately, I don't know if you guys read statistics.
Yeah,
there's been like more divorce rates and domestic violence.
Exactly.
So it's a bad thing, I guess. But what is it called? I would say the whole pandemic situation, which I don't think there's ever been a situation that humanity ever faced. Well, I mean there was the 1920s, but I'm talking about like in the 21st century. I think the reason is like when people got locked up and they were only with their family. Like majority of those people probably like they're so used to hanging out with their friends. They're so used to going outside. Like honestly, it's what happens is again it starts off with them not having a bond with their family. Like when is the last time they even told their brother I love you, bro, or they gave them sincere advice, or even told their parents that I love you. So it's an important subject because we find like many of the times youth when they don't establish a connection with their family, what happens is they seek that warmth and love, and like jokes aside, really, this is why like a lot of people turn to gangs and stuff. Like they seek that warmth and love, in another source instead of going to their family. I mean, and there's many reasons. I
actually think a big one is actually social media. They notice other people. They try to copy other people to get more views. They want other people's exception,
happiness,
instead of their parents.
Wow, I know what you mean. Yeah. I understand, bro. 100%. Social media, I mean, it sucks because especially on social media, like people think that this couple or this family is always happy, and it's so weird. Like I can't imagine always putting a camera in front of my children's face. You know what I mean? Like it's so my child's eating. I have to put on YouTube. I have to videotape my wife every single second of the day.
And that starts fights because especially when you just want to enjoy say you go have lunch with the family, okay, and the wife has to always pull out the phone or whatnot. And she always has to take a picture and everything. That would start a problem, like between them. Like, I want to just enjoy my burger. Just leave me alone.
Just to add to that, like, just in addition to social media, it's like you have like even like a few days ago, people remembering like the death of Kobe, right?
Yeah.
Why a few days ago?
And unfortunately,
that was the 1 year anniversary.
Yeah, it's a 1 year anniversary. Basically,
wow, it's been a year.
Yeah, basically, it's like time flies, right? And it takes like an unfortunate event, a tragic event, for people to realize, listen. These disputes that I had with family members, this quote unquote beef, right? Silly arguments, right? It takes an unfortunate event for them to like make up those ties and.
SubhanAllah, yeah.
And so obviously these kind of tragedies and people dying, it's like nobody ever wants that. But looking at it from a positive perspective, it's like, hey, people start to realize, family, you can't buy time.
Yes, some people are only
it's
reminded.
A wake-up call.
Yeah, exactly.
And it gathers family together when stuff like that happens.
So subhanAllah, but it sucks that sometimes it's death that has to wake us up. Like why can't we just be woke? I don't know. Is that how you say? Be woke in the first place. You know what I mean? Like instead of a trial having to happen to us. I would I would agree with that 100%. Like even at times, let's say me and my little brother, we kind of always have been close. But at times I felt like. I was just a roommate with my family. You know what I mean? Like I went to college, went to work, went inside the house to sleep and eat, and that's it. And didn't interact with family. That's why I use the word like roommate. That's what roommates are. You don't really, So
it's not really a connection.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what happens. Like even like the husband and wife. Like the husband just wants food on a plate. He wants intercourse, and he wants this, and there's no connection. There's no compatibility. You know what I mean? Like some people can't even tell you what's their brother's birthday, what's their brother's you guys are getting what I'm saying, right? Like, so
Yeah,
I think it's
definitely.
yeah. So I mean, moving on, like even when it comes to family, I think many of the times is we're not grateful. Like subhanallah, like there's people out there that don't have a family to come home to. You know what I mean? There's people out there that when they come home from a 12-hour shift, they come home to an empty apartment, or maybe they're what is it called? Maybe they come home to like a dysfunctional family. You know what I mean? So it's definitely a blessing, alhamdulillah, and I really do I thank God every single day that I even have a family that's there for me. Which most, like I wouldn't say most, but a lot of people don't have that. You know what I mean? So
Yeah. Sometimes family is the drive that pushes you from, that long day of work. You just come back home and you realize you do this for them in the end. Exactly.
wow, well, I agree with you 100%, bro. That's why it's I think it's also always being that one person that, because so many people say, what do I do if I have a dysfunctional family? You should be that one person that stands out. Like, you know what I mean? Like I mentioned to you guys earlier. Like, let's say there's 100 people in a bad village. I mean, 99 there's 100 people in a village. 99 of them have bad characteristics and bad mannerisms. What if you're that one person out of the 100 that has good manners? You know what I mean? You make that village flourish. You know what I mean? So don't ever let like the negative energy get to you. I always say just stay positive. Once your family sees that you're being the bigger person or you're bettering yourself, like they'll start to catch on. You know what I mean? Don't what is it called? How they say it, like one rotten apple ruins a whole tree. But if you're that one good apple in a rotten tree, does that make sense? Like you'll purify it and stuff like that. So
Yeah, I think the approach that people have to take to it, as like from a Muslim perspective, obviously, because
Okay.
all of us are Muslims. It's like the approach should be that at the end of the day, everybody is faced with a test in this dunya, in this life, right?
Yeah.
And perhaps for some people, right, a dysfunctional family is their fitna, it's their trial, it's their test in this life,
Yeah.
right? And on the opposite spectrum, right, perhaps you could say it's even more severe, and understandingly so. It's like people not having any family at all,
yeah,
right? And so that's the approach that we have to take at the end of the day, is that perhaps Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is testing us, God is testing us with a dysfunctional family, and it's up to us not to just complain and tell our friends and not just do anything about it, right? So for us to take initiative to help them out. One thing we could do is just like, how has your day been, right? Something as simple as that.
yeah. It starts simple, baby steps. Yeah.
Yeah, we think it's simple and it's a basic step, but at the end of the day, it's like how many times when you come back home you're just tired. And again, it goes back to the distractions that we have in life when we're on social media specifically, right? It's so focused on us as opposed to other people.
Oh, you would say to yourself, "Oh, I had a long day. Why should I be cheery and stuff like this?"
Right.
When if you're like alhamdulillah, me, I started a habit like when I come home, like even though let's say even I had a 14-hour shift, wallahi, I smile, I say assalamu alaikum, peace be upon you all, and I try to have the brightest smile. Even a smile, wallahi, and I learned this like many years ago, man, because I had this one friend that's always smiling. Like a smile really just can make a whole crowd lighten up. You know what I mean? So it starts off like what are you doing to make your family better? Because many people say they complain about their situation, but what are you doing to make your situation better? You know what I mean? Let's say you don't have the best relationship with your brother. You got to find out why. Do you maybe boss him around too much? Do you maybe not give him the best advice? Do you attack him instead of defending him? Maybe you don't have the best situation with your parents. You know what I mean? You got to sometimes see it from their perspective. What are you doing wrong? So I think it's also many times society is just what's the word I'm looking for? Like people are just so soft. Like they always think people are attacking them. But they never question themselves. Like whenever now, like alhamdulillah, I got better. Like before, when I was wrong in something I did, like I always blamed them or I had an ego. But alhamdulillah, now if somebody corrects me, you got to be humble in life. Wallahi, it's like
Sometimes.
I'm gonna accept it and I'm gonna know what I did wrong, and you better yourself like this. You know what I mean? Even if it's through bad, you could better yourself through bad family. I mean, there's some people that had dysfunctional households, but they grew up to be amazing people. Even this is mentioned in the stories of the prophets, like Prophet Noah. He had his son was not the best of sons. His son wouldn't come on the ship. On the ark. His son was disobedient. Look at Prophet Lot. They say it's in the Bible and the Quran. Like his wife was she was disobedient and she went astray from the straight path. Look at Jesus. Jesus Christ didn't have a father. So everybody, I would agree with you. Like people, what is it called? Even like prophetic figures grew up without family. Like Prophet Muhammad, like his almost all his children passed away.
Yeah.
Um,
You know,
yeah.
one thing I also noticed it's that you know people like us probably have to do a better job understanding the circumstances in which, let's say, our parents they were raised in, right? And that plays a big part.
Like the cultural, or
yeah, it plays a big part in the cultural differences and just at the end of the day, it's just the way they were raised, right? Primarily immigrant parents, for example, right? They were raised differently, interacted with different people, and so when they're bringing that here, they're moving into America, and we're completely in a different environment than they were raised in, perhaps, right? And so that has to be in our minds when we're interacting with them. Perhaps they interact in a different way that we're not really accustomed to, or not really used to. I believe that plays a primary factor into, like, let's say that gap between in understanding. What do you think about that, Becca?
Are you talking about? Sorry to interrupt you. Go.
No, go ahead.
I was gonna say, you talking about like when America. Let's say like we're not born in America. Let's say my parents were born in Yemen, right?
Yeah.
And then bring me here. They're gonna put a certain standard on me.
Yeah.
I would agree with that 100%. Honestly, and it's unfortunate. Like many times, like Americans in general, or even like second generation Americans, like the kids, or they like the parents expect them, when the elders come in the house, you kiss them on the head, you shake their hand, which you're supposed to do, of course. Like, you would think it's common sense out of respect, but many a times, like, I see it. It's I even see in the street, like, many times, like, people don't really respect their family, respect their grandparents when they come. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah,
or?
but I asked Becca, not you. You
took the words from my mouth. All right, yeah. Like I said, Muhammad took the words out of my mouth. But yeah, I would like to discuss about something when someone has that one family member that everyone can't stand, like. We all have that person, okay?
Yeah, I'm thinking of him right now.
Yeah, right? I wonder who that is. Whoa. But what is it called? The thing is, how to deal with these people. I don't know, but something that I discovered, which kind of helped me, is always pushing to help them. Like, always calling it out on them. Like, even you gotta be right.
In public or
no, not
private?
Public. Like one-on-one. Like,
yeah, private. Yeah.
Of course, obviously.
You don't want to roast him for the whole.
Exactly. That just destroys your whole argument. Yeah, it's not gonna help him. It's just gonna build more hatred.
Also, giving advice to your elders is very hard.
Oh, where do you start with that?
That's probably another. Yeah, it's very hard to give advice to your parents. Parents, or even, like, is it just somebody older? It's because then the ego gets in the way. You have to word it somehow. But yeah, my bad.
Yeah, but there's family in the end, so it becomes very complicated because you're stuck with these people. You gotta find a way to deal with them. I mean, it sounds pretty mean, but no, I don't mean it in that type of way.
Mean way, I get you.
Yeah.
I mean, as long as you put in the effort to, like, give them some advice.
Exactly. Not instead of not being that person to not talk to them, or just let them be.
At least
they're just gonna continue.
Yeah,
exactly. You gotta keep trying. Don't stop. That's the thing.
Agree with
you gotta keep going for it.
We actually wanted to add kind of, I guess you say, new segment to our podcast where we answer some common questions that you guys would have on this topic, the audience. I would say the number one common question I would ask if I was watching this podcast is, what is the first step in developing a good relationship with your family? Any of you guys want to answer that? What is the first step in maintaining and developing a positive relationship with your family?
Bonding? Oh, bonding, of course. Yeah. Spending time with the family, of course. That's the best way to do it.
Yeah, we spoke about that earlier. Yeah. So getting off your phone and,
I think it goes back to, like, the general idea of communication. Just like, it doesn't have to be like, oh, I gotta call them for like 30 minutes, 45 minutes. No, just like a quick 5-minute call, a quick text, just asking about themselves. It's like, to us that may seem something minimal, but to them it's like,
oh, subhanAllah, it's something.
Yeah. It can make their day.
And that's what I'm saying. Perhaps you don't know what they're facing on a daily basis, right? It's just tough. People are busy working. Got COVID and stuff like that. So again, never minimize small actions, just like by sending a text, right? Every day at random times. Perhaps that could brighten their mood a little bit. And so at the end of the day, it goes back to communication for me.
Okay. I would piggyback off that, and I would say, what is it called? Like, what is it called? When you don't have the best relationship with your family, and the best way to seal that bond is spending time. Like, I remember at times I would get that notification on my phone that says you've been on your phone for 5 hours and 47 minutes, and I'm like, wow, I really been on my phone that long just today. And wallah, I feel like I just wasted my time, and like my family's right in front of me, but I'm watching YouTube videos of Penguin Zero. You know what I mean? So, you subscribe to him?
Checking stocks.
Checking stock. The camera. Yeah. So I can't think of any better advice. I know it's general, but wallah, it seems very simple, and it is just spending time, just even planning events, barbecues, or watching a movie with the family, getting out of your room, stop playing Xbox for a second.
Please, Muhammad.
It sometimes can be hard for a father, because sometimes the father does work long days and stuff like that. So wallah, shout out to our fathers that work long shifts and work 7 days a week. Anybody else want to add anything to that?
No.
Yeah. So
what's the next one?
the next one was our families. Would you guys say families are always supportive? If you want, I'll answer that just so maybe you guys could.
Again, I think for me, being support, it goes back to what we were talking about before, right? Mm-hmm. The culture in which they were raised in, right? I think we could all say that, perhaps it was a bit more harsher for them, or just harsher for them in regards to support. Perhaps they were like facing so many difficult obstacles, and the parents didn't really have that time to really like give them that support that we see, like emotional support, mental health, that kind of stuff. So for us, it's like we have to be understanding of that. We can't expect them to be like, perhaps these parents that were born here in America recently, at least, right?
Yeah.
And so when it comes to support, I think number one, it's accepting the fact that they were raised differently, right? And once you accept that fact, you're not going to be expecting them in regards to support the way that you see in society. Right? The support,
I get what you mean.
The support you see on TV, the support you see on like TV shows and stuff like that. So once you accept that reality, for me, I think that's the first step.
And I think it's an unfortunate reality. Not all families are supportive, to be honest. Like, even when I wanted to start the podcast, maybe I perhaps had some people that didn't want to be supportive. They thought it was gonna be a bad idea, or
Which it was.
You want me to say them out loud?
No,
I'm gonna talk to your brother later. No,
but yeah, that is true. I think you have to understand where they're coming from, because when they plan for their family and their children, they have expectations. Like, they expect this from him, the doctor, so on and so forth. And when they don't get that, they're it's gonna turn.
That's like a unfortunate, like stereotypically, like Asian families, like you're either a doctor, an engineer, or like a failure, like
or a failure.
Yeah,
nothing else.
Nothing else.
Doctor, failure.
Yeah. So yeah, it's actually it's pretty tough, because families think they're being supportive when they tell you to do stuff like that, but sometimes you want to do your own thing, and they just don't get that. Like, especially like when you tell families you want to work as, let's say, even like a cop or a firefighter or even a garbage worker, sanitarian, they make 6 figures a year. They're gonna shun you. They're gonna make fun of you. They're gonna say, you're picking up garbage and stuff like that. But again, I guess like I said, just understand that family. It's unfortunate. They're not always gonna be there for you. Like even like the story of Jacob. You know what I mean? His own brothers even tried killing him. It's you're not gonna maybe have the best family, but that doesn't mean you can't flourish. You can't be the best person you could be. I wouldn't say you should use that as an excuse, even though it is harder. Like, honestly, like when you don't have a supportive family, it's actually, statistically speaking, you're most likely to end up in a life of crime. Like, that's why like single parent households, many of the times they end up going into a life of drugs and stealing and stuff like that. So yeah, it is harder, but I wouldn't say it's a good excuse to use. I mean, many people use that. Oh, he didn't have a father. That's why he ended up like that. So yeah, it's just understanding that it's an unfortunate reality. Family's always not gonna be there for you, but still, you always just gotta. I would say, would you guys say there's a difference?
You gotta be strong with these types of things. You gotta push over.
Be strong, yeah. Would you guys say there's a difference between like dealing with it? I mean, being patient with it, or just like dealing with it? Does that make sense? Like, sometimes people say you just be patient with what you have, and then some people say, but I just want to leave. Like, you know what I mean? What would you guys say to that?
Yeah, you got to be patient with these types of things. I agree with the patient part.
Yeah, okay.
Because if you just leave it, that's it.
It doesn't solve anything.
Yeah, you just made it worse, if anything.
Sometimes, like, you have a brother that is struggling with something, but you're like, I'm done with him. But if you left, if you're taking the easy way out, you know what I mean? You're not actually helping him out. You're just helping yourself from maybe it's causing you stress. So being
patient just shows love between whoever that is.
Yeah, well, I would agree.
Yeah, I mean, it's taking the easy way out, and you're basically running away from the problem. Essentially, like, that problem will always be there.
Yeah.
You know, they'll always be your family, right? You can't change it. So, you know, you have to accept that reality.
There's actually a quote. I guess I'll say the quote now. It says, "You don't choose your family. You don't choose your family. They are God's gift to you, as you are to them." Wait, let me say that again. You don't choose your family. They are God's gift to you, as you are to them. Yeah, actually made sense.
Yeah.
So yeah, you don't choose the people who you're born with. I would say, of course, like as we mentioned earlier, family is a big blessing. Not everybody has one, and they're a gift to you, and you're vice versa. Inshallah, you're supposed to be a gift to them. If you're the person that's kind of like weighing down your family, you know, you should definitely work on that. I would suggest just from now on, you know, work on your communication skills. Really ask yourself and ponder on your character. Like, when's the last time you hugged your parents? When's the last time you came home and gave your brother some supportive words? When's the last time you came home and like, I don't know, you know, maybe you bought your brother the latest game. You know, just these are just a few examples of how the bond can grow and grow. But if we keep on delaying it, if we keep on like prolonging it, that's when like the bond goes weaker and weaker. That's when you start, like, people sometimes they love their friends more than their own family, which is unfortunate. Mm-hmm. So yeah, alhamdulillah. Do you guys have anything to end off on? Any more details you guys want to give us on family in general as a topic? I think I gave everything.
Yeah.
Alhamdulillah.
I think going back to just ending it off with being grateful. I think that, you know, when you think about when we were like, let's say little, we basically had no conscience of like what we were doing. Basically, when we were babies, right? The more you think about like the sacrifices that your parents put in, just to like think about how many times probably you were crying at night for them to like, you know, clean you up, you know, get you food, and like just those sleepless nights that they put in. It's like you think about how we could repay that to them, right? That amount of time that they put in.
That's a really good point. Yeah.
Right? It's like, I think the more if we think about that more often, the idea of being grateful, I think you realize within yourself, like, all right, let me stick to that. Just let me always remember that. No matter like what obstacle, what comes to mind, it's like always remember the sacrifice that they put in the beginning of your life, right? When we were basically vulnerable at our peak.
Yeah, like you were like literally a nobody. You know what I mean? SubhanAllah, like your parents were nobody. They're the one who raised you up, and now you're at the prime of your age and they're old. Now it's your turn to, you know, repay them. Well, I would agree with that 100. And I actually want to do a whole podcast just dedicated to parents. You know what I mean? Like how much they sacrificed, how much they struggled. Wallahi, especially I'm talking about especially for us, because like my parents were born in Yemen. I'm not sure where your parents born in Palestine or.
Lebanon.
Oh, Lebanon, really? Okay, subhanAllah. So yeah, it's I really want to do a podcast just on parents. I think probably we could talk a whole hour on that, man, because it's something that's it's not talked about enough, and it's unfortunate how society is like just people in general, like how they treat their parents. Like we even see the shows, the Mari show and all this stuff, and people glorify it all the time. Wallah, like
that's upsetting.
Yeah, it's even on my job, like people yell at their parents or they're on the line.
Post a clip here.
Yeah, right. We're gonna post a clip. I'm 16 years old and pregnant. Like, you know, they have these shows and stuff like that. You know what are you gonna do? But alhamdulillah, Ahmed, wallahi, from the bottom of my heart, you're a great friend of mine. Mino Buck, love you. The camera guy, I'm not sure. Wallah, we definitely want to have you in another podcast very soon, just like Muhammad Zain. And guys, we're definitely gonna have more guests soon and more of these type of topics. Let us know what topics you guys want in the comment section. My name's Muhammad.
My name's Abu Bakr.
Huh? So there's a famous scholar from the medieval era of the medieval era of France. He once said, "I don't, I don't have family. I have friends." Vin Diesel. Oh, I messed it up. Wait. I don't have. What is it again, bro? I don't have friends. I have family. Stop. We're not putting that on the podcast. Thank God it's Friday. Ma'asalama. I'm not putting it. Yeah, no, we're not putting that on the podcast.
Bro.